this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan. Tonight, 8, 7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have we asked our contractor we found on Angie.com to be our kids' legal guardian? Because he took such good care when redoing our basement that we knew we could trust him to care for our kids, all 8 of them, should something happen to us.
Are you my dad now?
No, sorry, I do basements. Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
The big game commercials are basically must-see TV. This year, Elf Cosmetics went all out with an absurdly funny telenovela called Melissa. It stars Melissa McCarthy, Nicholas Gonzalez, Itati Cantoral, and Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil. The Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil is an ultra-glossy tinted lip oil that nourishes, hydrates, and enhances your lips' natural color.
Watch the full episode of their new Elf novela on soyunbaño.com.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
How do you make chicken nuggets like 7,000% better? Short answer, you let Taco Bell make them. Long answer, start with all white meat chicken nuggets, bread them in crunchy tortilla chips, and serve them with Hidden Valley Diablo Ranch. Yep, that's Hidden Valley Ranch mixed with Taco Bell Diablo sauce. It's exactly what it sounds like, and somehow even better. Simple math, spicy results. Crispy chicken nuggets from Taco Bell. A brand new classic. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only, while supplies last.
Hi, it's Jeremy Hobson, and this is a special bonus episode of The Middle to close out 2025 and to welcome 2026. Now, there has been a lot of bad news in the news lately, and we're going to try and find some slices of good because you deserve it. Before we get to that, I want to get you some quick updates about The Middle. We're going to start the year with more than 480 public radio stations carrying The Middle, which is just incredible because we have been on the air only for about 2 years, and there are shows that have been on for 40 years that don't have that many stations. So we're very excited about that. We also just moved our weekly newsletter over to Substack, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please go over and do that. You can do that at listentothemiddle.com. We're going to be launching some new exciting content in the new year. And also, I know I say this in every show, but please write us a review wherever you listen to this as a podcast. It makes a difference. And if you can, make a year-end tax-deductible contribution at listentothemiddle.com. Those listener donations are very important in helping us continue to do this work as an independent production. And thank you so much if you already have. Okay, so we've got 3 special guests with us right now from 3 different cities in this country. First off, Blake Farmer, host of This is Nashville on Nashville Public Radio. Blake, it is great to have you.
Honored to be here.
And also joining us is Kate Archer-Kent, who hosts Wisconsin Today on Wisconsin Public Radio. Kate, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi. And Mary Sanchez, our old friend, a Kansas City-based columnist for the Tribune Content Agency and a frequent guest on our show. Mary, great to have you on as well.
Thank you.
All right, so we've asked each of you to bring us an important story from 2025, where you live, and also something that makes you optimistic going into 2026. We're going to get to that after the break, so we make sure that people stay with us for the entire podcast. Kate, I'm going to start with you in Wisconsin. What's a story that you're paying attention to there you think we ought to be everywhere else?
Well, Wisconsin is experiencing a really big data center boom. Data center construction is going up everywhere. Dozens of these sites happening around the state, and that's, of course, bringing in billions of dollars in construction. You've got then the ripple effects of that with highway projects and energy plants have to open to be able to sustain these data centers for all those AI needs. But we're also seeing some of the opposition there. I mean, recently we saw in Port Washington near Milwaukee where there's a $15 billion data center underway there, Jeremy. And local residents have just filed paperwork to recall their mayor. They don't like that there hasn't been enough transparency in how these deals get done. We've also seen, protests at city council meetings all over in other communities around Wisconsin. And so, you see some really big support for these centers because we're going to see that they will bring in construction jobs, union jobs, but you're also seeing some pretty fierce opposition to these projects. So that data centers, big story in Wisconsin.
Well, and in a lot of other places, but I wonder, Kate, is the opposition basically because people are worried that their electricity rates are going to go up because the data centers are going to be taking so much of the energy, which we're already seeing happening in some places?
That is one piece of it, certainly. Energy costs. Also, they're concerned about water and how these data centers will be cooled, whether that will impact, whether they will need water for cooling. So they're looking at those environmental costs. They're also looking at, once these data centers are up and running, how many people will actually be needed? Will they be an economic boom for these communities, or will it just be that initial construction boom? So those are some of the tensions playing out here.
Right. It's interesting, all the jobs, and we've talked about this, all the jobs that are probably going to go away because of artificial intelligence. But at the same time, what I discover anecdotally in my conversations with people is almost everybody is using AI at this point. Do you find that, Kate, where in Wisconsin, even among people who are against the data centers?
It's certainly a tension point, AI in use, of course, in so many industries. And we talk about that on Wisconsin Today as well. So, but there's also a lot of the tensions around, whether it is the responsible thing to do. So that is playing out here as well.
Blake, what about you in Nashville? What are you seeing? What's a big story we should be paying attention to?
We do have some data center hiccups every once in a while, but the big thing when I look back at this year, that's just like this story that keeps on giving. Not to say it's entirely consequential in a lot of ways, but it's about the Boring Company, as in Elon Musk's company that tunnels underground.
That bores underground.
Yes, it's
right.
Boring. It's a great name for a company. I mean, it really is. But there were sort of like rumors about this early in the year, and then they sort of came out and indeed announced that they were going to tunnel from downtown Nashville out to the airport. And this sounds like it would be, something that Nashville would be excited about, because the city has had all kinds of trouble getting public transit going and getting it paid for, and this was not going to be government money, but it like went over like a lead balloon. I mean, the city of Nashville itself was not really brought in. It was one of these situations. You've got a state here in Tennessee that's run by Republicans, supermajorities in the legislature and the governor, and the city that's run by Democrats, and it's like they kind of went around the city to announce this plan that very much is a Nashville thing. And like the mayor was barely in on it, the city council was hardly in on it. And so they had all sorts of questions. Of course, it involves Elon Musk's company, and he was, especially when it was announced, a very controversial figure in the news every day. And we've learned since then that they've already started tunneling, and they've announced that it's going to be a bigger project than they even first announced, that we would go under our river, the Cumberland River, over to the Titans Stadium, and they plan to connect, build it out all over the place. Again, this is a place that's had a lot of issues trying to figure out how to do some sort of mass transit, but not been very welcoming of this for any number of reasons.
But they've actually started tunneling. They're doing it.
Oh, there are holes in the ground. It's going.
It's interesting because I feel like we've been hearing about his tunneling projects for so long, and they haven't really been happening the way you were supposed to, I think, be able to go from Los Angeles to Las Vegas at this point in a tunnel, and that's not even happening. But also, you look at a place like London, and they built the Elizabeth line on the tube, a new line under the entire city of London, which think about how much, old stuff is under there and how difficult it must be to tunnel. They did that by tunneling, not by whatever it's called, dig and tunnel or whatever it is. Instead of going from the surface, they actually just did that by tunneling. So it is possible to do it, and it'd be interesting to see if they can actually make it happen in Nashville.
Well, and they certainly can dig tunnels, but it was interesting from the very beginning. The leaders of the boring company, the way they were talking about it, they said, "Well, we know Tennessee is a very hard, got this very hard rock and a tough place to dig." And people who knew anything about our geology are like, "That's not the issue. The issue is that it's kind of soft and it's this limestone. We have sinkholes." Karst is the issue, which I won't even try to explain the geology because I'll get in trouble. But the point is, it's hard to dig here for other reasons, not because the rock is hard. So it just felt to a lot of people who, had a lot of questions in the first place, that homework had not even really been done on the front end. Anyway, it's an ongoing saga.
Yeah. All right. Mary Sanchez, you're in Kansas City, where they have a beautiful new airport, but no tunnel that takes you directly into the city. But what are you looking at this year as a big story we should be focusing on?
Okay. Well, I was thinking about the redistricting, but I will say what's so interesting, even what we've already covered, we have some of those same issues with transportation. We extend streetcar here and the data centers. It's like everything is so entwined in the U.S., which is so interesting how you do this. And redistricting obviously is something that is going to be taking off. On the Missouri side, it is very much caught up in the courts. The Republican legislature did redo a map, and this is outside of the census. Usually after every 10-year census, they look at those numbers and they figure out what makes sense in terms of, the legality of this, of how do you redistrict. Well, this is an effort to increase more Republican seats. And so they drew the map, but it is all caught up in the courts. The public really pushed back, just like they are doing on some of these other issues we're discussing. They turned in more than 300,000 signatures. Some of those have already been thrown out through an issue with Secretary of State. It's going to be ongoing. And on the Kansas side, we have the same thing. There's, have been efforts that they're talking about there. There's a Democrat governor. So there's a little bit more pushback. And I think what's happened in Indiana, where it didn't go through.
The Republican Senate said no to Donald Trump. We're not going to do that new map right now.
Yeah, and that caused some hiccups among some in Kansas, some of the legislators who said, well, maybe we don't have enough force to get this done. So I think that's something that's going to continue. There's also a little sliver in St. Louis. I'm on the western side of the state of Missouri, but in St. Louis, there's a little sliver that it could play out with the voting rights, how the Voting Rights Act, how the Supreme Court takes up that case.
Right. The interesting thing, and we've covered this redistricting fight on the middle, is that number one, a lot of members of Congress don't want it to happen because it makes them have to have new voters and they have to figure out how they're going to win their new district, even if it's maybe safer for them. And number two, if the Republicans change the lines and make all the districts like 55-45 red instead of 60-40, if there's a wave election, it could totally backfire.
Absolutely. That's what people are worried about. And the other thing about this is once you change those districts, it's really hard to undo it.
Kate Archer-Kent, as we hear about the politics there in Missouri and Kansas, what about in Wisconsin, such a political hotbed of this country?
A political hotbed, indeed. Looking back at the year, Wisconsin and the nation witnessed the most expensive judicial race in American history. And that was with the election of liberal Justice Susan Crawford, elected to our state Supreme Court, elected to a 10-year term. So now the court tipped with a liberal majority for years to come. It's now 4-3. And so we're watching that. I mean, this particular race, it had millions of dollars in it from Elon Musk, tens of millions of dollars in supporting Brad Schimmel in that race. And so now we're very closely watching what this court takes up. Most recently, we've seen some notable lawsuits challenging our state's congressional maps. And that could have implications very soon in the 2026 midterms. So we are certainly watching what this shakeup in the state Supreme Court means for the cases that they take on.
You know, Jeremy, here in Tennessee, I mean, certainly Elon Musk has been still playing an outsized role, even though he hasn't been here in person. But in terms of the politics, one of the surprising stories from this year that's been big is about school vouchers. And I don't know how many states represented here have school vouchers, and they've been in place to some degree in Tennessee for a long time. But our governor, Bill Lee, kind of has made it his kind of one of his signature things to, before he leaves office, to have a big school voucher program. And so this was the first year that it launched. It was very controversial. Even a lot of Republicans had tons of questions. It was a very close vote ultimately, because these were 40,000 school vouchers. So for people to be able to go to private school take about $8,000. And they'd be able to go to a private school, and there was no income cap on half of those, where it didn't matter how much money your family made, you could still have one of these school vouchers. And it will continue to be an issue into the future because, I mean, they were very popular, and more people wanted them than could get them because there were only 40,000. And so going into the next year, it's going to be a big issue here in Tennessee, because people are like, well, how much larger should we expand this program?
Right. And the worry, of course, is that you're taking money out of the public schools. And we did a show about this in Louisiana at WWNO in New Orleans when they were considering doing exactly this. And I will say, as a fellow talk show host, Blake, that was one of the hardest shows that we've ever done in terms of how much research it takes to understand all the nuances of the school voucher programs. I mean, it is a very complicated topic, and people know it very well. And if you get something wrong on a show like that, they will call you out for it.
I know. I was going to say, one of the things I found interesting, we do call-in shows from time to time on This Is Nashville. Had a lot of calls on this topic, but we had some folks on the show who honestly are against the concept of school vouchers. They support public schools, is what they would say. However, if they're available, and since their kid goes to a private school, they're going to sign up for it, which I think is so interesting going forward. Kind of like when people were maybe against lottery scholarships that was going to help people go to college. People aren't against it anymore. You're just like, hey, the money's available. You might as well take it. Right. So it'll be interesting to watch going forward.
All right, we're going to be back in just a moment with the good news, the optimism for 2026. The middle. We'll be right back.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan. Tonight, 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have I asked my HVAC guy I found on Angie.com to change my grandpa's trachea tube? Because I was so amazed by how quickly he replaced our air ducts. I knew I could trust him to change Pop-Pop's tube while I was on vacation.
Make it quick, young man.
Aw, see? Pop-Pop trusts you.
I think we should call a doctor.
Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
Ever wonder why so many people regain weight after stopping a GLP-1? Up to 40% of the weight lost can come from lean muscle. This weakens the body, slows metabolism, and makes it easier to put the pounds back on, creating a cycle of dependency. Prolon's 5-day fasting-mimicking diet offers a drug-free way to maintain results and support long-term metabolic health. In just 5 days, it activates fasting pathways to burn fat, protect muscle, and rejuvenate cells, all while letting you enjoy real food. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/iHeart. That's prolonlife.com/iHeart.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Welcome to the A Building. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba. It's 1969. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. had both been assassinated, and Black America was at a breaking point. Rioting and protests broke out on an unprecedented scale.
In Atlanta, Georgia, at Martin's alma mater, Morehouse College, the students had their own protest. It featured two prominent figures in Black history, Martin Luther King Sr. and a young student, Samuel L. Jackson.
To be in what we really thought was a revolution. I mean, people were dying.
1968, the murder of Dr. King, which traumatized everyone.
The FBI had a role in the murder of a Black Panther leader in Chicago.
This story is about protest. It echoes in today's world far more than it should, and it will blow your mind.
Listen to the A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to a special episode of The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson. This episode, we're joined by Kansas City-based columnist Mary Sanchez. This is Nashville host Blake Farmer from Nashville Public Radio, and Wisconsin Today host Kate Archer-Kent from Wisconsin Public Radio. And now we're going to look ahead to 2026, or if you are really late on listening to your podcasts, it's already 2026, and we are now talking about the things to be optimistic about this year. Mary, you first.
We are a World Cup host city here in Kansas City, and it is just starting to consume, people's just consciousness. It's just, even if you aren't a fan of football, which how are you not, is what I would ask, there's something to be excited about. I mean, it's just going to be amazing, I think. There's a lot that could go wrong when you bring in about 650,000 more people into your area, transportation, just all sorts of things, crime, but it's just exciting. We possibly, if everything plays out right, winners, losers, whatever, we could end up with Ronaldo and Messi actually playing in their last matches. That gets into who loses, when we do have one quarterfinal match. But it's just amazing. It's a huge thing for the city. We're an incredible soccer town. We have the only stadium that was built for a professional women's soccer club in the entire world. And it is beautiful. It's right on the riverfront. I mean, and people just love it. It's just a wonderful atmosphere.
I'm in Los Angeles, which is also a World Cup host city this year. And as soon as they announced who was playing when, or who was playing whom in which city, all of a sudden Airbnb sent out alerts, I guess, to everybody who puts their house up that said, by the way, get ready, put your house up now, put your apartment up now, because you're about to make a lot of money on these World Cup people coming in. So that's very interesting. Kate, what about you in Wisconsin? What are you optimistic about in the coming year?
Well, I'm going to tag in following what Mary said. I mean, in Wisconsin, we have some of the most elite speed skaters in the country, and many of them have their sights set on the Winter Olympics, and they train at the Pettit National Ice Center in Milwaukee, which is famous for being one of only two long track speed skating ovals in the country. They're hosting the Olympic trials there. So we'll see who's on that Olympic team from Wisconsin in the Winter Olympics. And, on Wisconsin Today, we hear of so many people around our state who are trying to make a positive impact. A couple of things that we've heard recently are about these community fridges that are popping up around our state that are run by local volunteers. And neighbors can just come to a community fridge. It might be located in a park, or another public place, day or night, they can just take things from the fridge if they're hungry. So community fridges are something that's happening around our state. We've also been hearing about what are called memory choirs that are opening up in northern Wisconsin, and these are choirs specifically for people who have dementia or Parkinson's disease. One choir is called Parkinsong, and it really allows people who are suffering from Parkinson's or dementia to reclaim their voice and join a choir. So that also has been a source of optimism.
That's great. That's really nice. Blake, what about you in Nashville?
It's less of a single story and more of something that I feel is in the air, or at least maybe I am hoping into existence. But on our show, This is Nashville, just like The Middle, we really try to get people on different sides of an issue, not to come scream at each other, but to come, let's talk about where we are. A couple of weeks ago, we've had 3 executions in Tennessee this year. So executions have been a big story, and there will be more next year. There's one scheduled for a woman to be put to death, which is very rare. But we had a pro-death penalty, although he wouldn't exactly call himself that, but he's outside the executions when they occur, like here in Tennessee, basically on the pro side of the fence where they allow protesters to go, sort of saying in support of the death penalty. Sit down in our studio that I'm sitting in right now, sitting across from a Methodist pastor who pastors people on death row and who is a death penalty abolitionist. They sat in here, and we had to edit the conversation down quite a bit, and talked for 3 hours. And it was incredible how much overlap there was. And honestly, by the end of the conversation, you weren't sure who was against the death penalty because honestly, the issues, nobody loved how things were working out. And often when we have episodes where we've got people on left, right, center, there's a conversation after we go off air. And people on left and right are exchanging phone numbers. They're sort of hearing from the other side, and you just get the sense that there is far less that divides us than we are made to believe a lot of times. And I just think, and maybe simply hope, that there's more of that in the new year.
I agree with you 100%. I think that we discover that every single week on our show, that people are interested in finding solutions and talking to each other in a civil and respectful way. And unfortunately, most of our media does not prioritize that. And I'm not blaming people necessarily. The algorithms are a major problem there too. But, I guess I hope we have less social media in 2026. That's never going to happen. But I sort of hope so, because it really is... it divides us in a way, and it makes us focus on the things that make us angry and all of that. And it's just, I always find when I take a break from it for a couple of weeks, I feel better. I want to say one nice thing about each of you, because we're so glad to have you. Kate Archer-Kent, I just want to tell you, we did a bunch of interviews when we were launching The Middle, and one of them was with you, and I stole something from you, and I've used it over and over again, which is go ahead. I say that to the guests when the phone callers call in, I'm like, hello, Birmingham, Alabama, go ahead. And it's like, oh my God, they know. It's like, okay, let's start talking now.
I'm stealing that now. Go ahead.
No, it's
I like that. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's very good. Blake Farmer, by the way, whenever I eventually have somebody back up for me as a host on this show, it's never happened before. You're at the top of my list. I love Blake Farmer. You guys are all fantastic, but I've known Blake for a very long time, and I just think he's an excellent host. People should check out This is Nashville. And Mary Sanchez, like our favorite guest from week 1. You were on one of our first pilots, and you've been on more episodes than almost anybody. I think maybe Philip Bailey has been on maybe one more than you on The Middle so far, but you're catching up very quickly.
Well, I'm always happy to be here. I just love the concept. I absolutely agree with you. I hear so many people reply and say that they enjoy listening because it is civil, it is interesting, it's different perspectives. I just think you've hit on a wonderful model that, frankly, the U.S. is hungry for.
Well, thank you so much. That is Kansas City-based columnist Mary Sanchez, who writes for the Tribune Content Agency, Blake Farmer, who hosts This is Nashville on Nashville Public Radio, and Kate Archer-Kent, host of Wisconsin Today on Wisconsin Public Radio. Thanks to all of you, and Happy New Year.
You too.
Happy New Year, Jeremy.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Happy New Year. I will talk to you soon.
Owning a home is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. And when something breaks, it can feel like the whole day unravels. That's why HomeServe exists. For as little as $4.99 a month, you'll always have someone to call. A trusted professional ready to help, bringing peace of mind to 4.5 million homeowners nationwide. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to homeserve.com. That's homeserve.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Over the last couple years, didn't we learn that the folding chair was invented by Black people because of what happened in Alabama?
The Montgomery Brawl.
This Black History Month, the podcast Selective Ignorance with Mandy B unpacks Black history and culture with comedy, clarity, and conversations that shake the status quo. The Crown Act in New York was signed in July of 2019, and that is a bill that was passed to prohibit discrimination based on hairstyles associated with race. To hear this and more, listen to Selective Ignorance with Mandy B from the Black Effect Podcast Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
1969. Malcolm and Martin are gone. America is in crisis. And at Morehouse College, the students make their move.
These students, including a young Samuel L. Jackson, locked up the members of the Board of Trustees, including Martin Luther King Sr. It's the true story of protest and rebellion in Black American history that you'll never forget. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba.
Listen to The A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Ryder Strong, and I have a new podcast called The Red Weather. In 1995, my neighbor, Anna Trainer, disappeared from a commune.
It was nature and trees and praying and drugs.
So no, I am not your guru.
And back then, I lied to everybody.
They have had this case for 30 years.
I'm going back to my hometown to uncover the truth. Listen to The Red Weather on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.